Welcome friends, and this is the Minecraft Winter Drop Update. This winter, Mojang is adding a whole bunch of new blocks and items to Minecraft along with a new and somewhat creepy mob, which we will get to later in the video. But without further ado, let's jump straight into Minecraft's Winter Drop Update. Starting things off with what I'm actually floating above, and that is the Pale Garden, which is right down below me. And if we take a little jump on down here, then we can see what this looks like. So basically, it is a rather black and white grayscale kind of looking place with large trees and this really cool moss. This moss hangs from the underside of trees. As you can see here, it is called the pale hanging moss, and the ground is covered in these new pale moss blocks and also pale moss carpets. The grass and leaf colors are all much desaturated in this biome, and even the sky turns gray as well. This biome holds a few more secrets, which we will get onto though later in the video, so make sure you stick around till then. But until then, let's head back up to our platform and take a look at everything the Pale Garden has to offer. Now, of course, we have our normal wood variants, along with all of the items you can make, such as the planks, the stairs, the slabs, the fence gates, and the fence posts, along with, of course, the doors, trapdoors, and all that good stuff, as well as the new boats and boat chest, and the buttons and pressure plates and stuff like that. We also have the very nice new kind of leaf, and one other nice little feature about the pale moss carpet is that it actually kind of has these little things, these little tendril things, root thingies, which stick up on the edges of blocks. We also have a new hanging sign and also sign variant, and of course the pale oak sapling, which is used to grow the pale oak trees. There are also these two new flowers being added, which are actually the same flower, the closed and the open eye blossoms. Now, to see how these things work, we're going to take a little jump back down into the Pale Garden. Now, in the daytime, they look like this, but when night falls, then they open up to reveal their glowing orange inner core, which looks very cool. These would make a very nice decorative block, and you can also make some different dyes out of them, respectively, as of when they're open or closed. So that's all of the new Pale Garden stuff, but if we turn around, we see all of the new resin stuff, which is quite new and quite recently announced. Now, I will show you how to actually get this in a minute, but for now, as we can see, we have these very nice resin blocks, which are like super saturated orange, which would be very good in certain builds. We have the block of resin, the resin brick stairs, resin brick slabs, resin brick wall, chiseled resin bricks, and also the item forms of these things, which is the resin clump and the resin brick. This down here on the ground actually is also a resin clump, because you can actually place these resin clumps for an extra little texture on horizontal or vertical surfaces like this. Now, if you actually take some of these resin clumps and craft them together like this, then you get the block of resin, which is just basically like a raw block of resin. But if you actually want the resin brick, you have to take the resin clump, chuck it in a furnace with some fuel, and then that will cook its way up into a resin brick. And we can then take these resin bricks and craft them like so into the resin bricks like this. And of course, you can do all the normal things, such as make stairs and walls and such with the same recipes that you would expect. One more thing to note is that the resin can actually be used as an armor trim. So this is the Razor armor trim on diamond armor. There's no new armor trim being added, this is just a new color. But of course, how do you actually get this resin? Well, to talk about that, we first have to talk about this right here, the creaking. Now, to properly see the creaking in action, we will need to hop on down here into the Pale Garden and set it to nighttime so we can see what may arise. Now, it goes from being peaceful to quite ominous in the night. And as you wander around, you might start to feel a bit of a sense of foreboding rather than the peaceful nature that this garden had during the day. And you would be pretty rightfully worried, because as you can see here, we have the creaking with its amazing little walk animation. That kind of ruined the moment. I was trying to make it spooky, but then I saw that silly walk animation. Sorry. But as we can see here, if I set to survival mode, then it doesn't do anything. It just stands here. And if you punch it, nothing happens. You cannot kill it. But as soon as I turn my back, then it attacks. But it only attacks and only moves if you're not looking at it, which I think is a very cool little mechanic. But we can see it chase. Oh, that's so scary. That's actually so scary. I was taken a little bit off guard by that. But they are completely harmless if you're looking at them. Now, you might actually be wondering how you can kill these if they're literally just invincible no matter what you do. Well, if you punch them, you probably have already noticed at this point that when you hit them, then these little particles fly. And if you just look where the particles fly and go dig around in the tree that it landed in, then we should see in here this new block here called the Creaking Heart. There's the Creaking Heart right there, and there's a creaking that is connected to it. So as soon as I break this, you can see that it disappears like so. Now, some of the more observant of you may have noticed that this also happened when you punched the creakings. And if you guessed that these were the resin clumps, then you'd be correct. This is how you get them. They spawn on the trees when you hit the creaking. So this is quite an interesting new feature. It is nothing like Minecraft has ever seen before, and I think it is quite cool. I'd say the closest thing to this is the Enderman, which of course doesn't attack if you're looking straight at it, but in this case, then it's a little easier because if it's in your field of view, it still won't attack you. It's only when you turn your back fully that it will attack. Now, if you are a builder, you might be wondering, well, can I get this? Can I get this creaking heart block and actually use it in builds to make cool stuff? And the answer is yes. If you use a Silk Touch pickaxe, then you can indeed have a creaking heart. Just bear in mind that it will be its deactivated texture, but if you want it to be activated, all you have to do is take a pale oak log, chuck it down like that, put a creaking heart, and then another pale oak log, and it activates like so. Just do be aware that at nighttime, activated creaking hearts will summon creakings, so yeah, you might have some unwelcome visitors if you try this. But all in all, the best thing that you get is probably the resin, since the resin is very cool. I'm actually quite excited about these new resin clumps because it means you can actually add extra detail. You've almost like created another kind of ore right here, and you can even layer them to make even crazier looking kinds of blocks, and they can be on any surface, which means that you basically now have an extra layer that you can put onto a block to sort of add some texture to it. Of course, obtaining the resin clumps may not be the easiest thing, but I think it's well worth it. A little bit more technical stuff to mention about the creaking. The creaking actually only has half a heart, and if you summon one with either the summon command or a spawn egg, then you can actually kill them, and because they only have half a heart. But you can't kill them in either survival or creative mode if they've spawned naturally from a forest like that. Creakings summoned from creaking hearts also instantly despawn during the daytime, so don't worry, you won't have any more following you around in there during the day. But my friends, that's about it that is being added in the Winter Drop update. Now, as the name suggests, this is being dropped this winter as Minecraft Java Edition 1.21.4, also of course releasing on Bedrock Edition. But I'm quite excited for this. This is of course Mojang doing its new system of not having larger updates, but having some smaller ones that are more frequent. So we'll see how that system goes, but for now I'm quite excited about this stuff. So, liking and subscribing would be greatly appreciated as always, and while I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, I do have a Patreon server, a link in the description. Any donations there would be greatly appreciated, even more than subscribing, which is already greatly appreciated. I mean, it's just a win-win for everybody. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and goodbye!